Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, in today's episode, we will be continuing the study of 12th chapter of the Adi Leela from the verse number 56 onwards. We have done until 55 in the last session. So, we will chant the Mangalacharan prayers, invoking the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and the entire Sampradaya, and we shall begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you very much for joining in the session of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we'll be reading from, continuing our study of the 12th chapter of the Adi Leela from verse 56 onwards. And please share it in the social media and WhatsApp groups and all of that so that more people can join the session. So, chapter 12, verse 56. So, at 55, we ended, just to do a slight recap. At 55, we ended at that point where Kamalakanta Vishwas, the chastisement of Kamalakanta Vishwas, was concluded. So now moving on to the other devotees in the disciplic succession of Advaita Ācārya. Shri Yadunandana Ācārya Advaitera Shakha Tara Shakha Upashakhara Nahi Hoy Lekha. The fifth branch of Advaita Ācārya was Shri Yadunandana Ācārya, who had so many branches and sub-branches that it is impossible to write of them. Yadunandana Ācārya, purport. Yadunandana Ācārya was the official initiative spiritual master of Raghunath Das Goswami. In other words, when Raghunath Das Goswami was a householder, Yadunandana Ācārya initiated him at home. Later, Raghunath Das Goswami took shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. So, Yadunandana Ācārya was the family priest of Raghunath Das Goswami's father. वासुदेव दत्तीर्थे हो कृपार भजन सर्व भावे आश्रयाच्छे chaitanya charan. Sri Yadunandana Ācārya was a student of Vasudeva Datta and he received all his mercy. Therefore, he could accept Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet from all angles of vision as the supreme shelter. Purport. The Gaur Ganodesh Deepika 140 describes that Vasudeva Datta was formerly Madhuvrata, a singer in Vrindavan. Mukunda Datta and Vasudeva Datta. The Madhukantha and Madhuvrata, I think. We have read that before. Bhagavatācārya are Vishnudāsācārya, Chakrapāṇi Ācārya are Ananta Ācārya. Bhagavat Acharya, Vishnudas Acharya, Chakrapani Acharya, and Ananta Acharya were the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th branches of Advaita Acharya. Purport. In his Anubhashya, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada says that Bhagavat Acharya was formerly among the followers of Advaita Acharya, but was later counted among the followers of Gadadhar Pandit. The 6th verse of Shakha Nirnayamrita, a book written by Yadunandana Das, states that Bhagavat Acharya compiled a famous book of the name Prematarangini. According to the Gauranga Deepika 195, Bhagavad Acharya formerly lived in Vrindavan as Shweta Manjari. Vishnudas Acharya was present during the Khetari Mahotsav. This Khetari is the first Gaura Purnima celebrations organized by Narottam Das Thakur after the disappearance of the Panchatattva. So Vishnudas Acharya was present during the Khetari Mahotsav. He went there with Achyutananda as stated in the Bhakti Ratnakar 10th Taranga. Anantacharya was one of the 8 principal gopis. Wow. His former name was Sudevi. Although he was among Advaita Acharya's followers, he later became an important devotee of Gadadhar Goswami. Nandini ar Kamadeva Chaitanya Das, Durlabha Vishwas ar Vanamali Das. Nandini, Kamadeva, Chaitanya Das, Durlabha Vishwas, and Vanamali Das were the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th branches of Sri Advaita Acharya. जगन्नाथ करो आर करो भवनाथ हृदयानंद सेना आरदास भोलनाथ हृदयानंद सेना आरदास भोलानाथ जगन्नाथ कर भवनाथ कर हृदयानंद सेना and Bholanath Das were the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th branches of Advaita Acharya. यादव दास विजय दास दास जनार्दन अनंत दास कानु पंडित दास नारायण कानु पंडित Yadav Das, Vijay Das, Janardhan Das, Ananta Das, Kanu Pandit, and Narayana Das were the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th branches of Advaita Acharya. Srivatsa Pandit Brahmachari Haridas Purushottam Brahmachari Hare Kṛṣṇa Das. Srivatsa Pandit Haridas Brahmachari, Purushottam Brahmachari, and Krishnadas were the 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th branches of Advaita Acharya. Purushottam Pandit R. Raghunath, Vanamali Kavichandra R. Vaidyanath. Purushottam Pandit, Raghunath, Vanamali, Kavichandra, and Vaidyanath were the 29th, 30th, 31st, and 32nd branches of Advaita Acharya. Lokanath Pandit R. Murari Pandit, Sri Hari Charan R. Madhava Pandit. Lokanath Pandit, Murari Pandit, Sri Hari Charan, and Madhav Pandit were the 33rd, 34th, 35th, and 36th branches of Advaita Acharya. Vijaya Pandit R. Pandit, Sri Ram, Asankhya Advaita Shakha, Kothalai Banam. Vijay Pandit and Sridham Pandit were 2 important branches of Advaita Acharya. There were innumerable branches, but I am unable to mention them all. Shrivas Pandit was an incarnation of Narad Muni. And thus Srivas's younger brother, Sridham Pandit, is accepted as an incarnation of Parvat Muni, Narad Muni's most intimate friend. So, it's interesting. Malidatta Jala Advaita Skandha Jogai, Shei Jale Jiye Sakhav, Fulla Fala Pai. The Advaita Acharya branch received the water supplied by the original gardener Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, the sub-branches were nourished and their fruits and flowers grew luxuriantly. Purport. The branches of Advaita Acharya nourished by the water or jala supplied by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are to be considered bona fide Acharyas. As we have discussed here and before, the representatives of Advaita Acharya later divided into two groups: the bona fide branches of the Acharya's disciplic succession and the pretentious branches of Advaita Acharya. Those who followed the principles of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu flourished, whereas the others, who are mentioned below in the 67th verse, dried up. Important. Wow. There are at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 devotees who have said Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada, and then 7 people only watch. Dandot Pranam. Okay. So those who followed the principles of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu flourished, whereas the others who are remained below, who are mentioned below in the 67th verse, dried up. This is very important. इहार मध्य माली पाछे कौन शाखा गण ना माने चैतन्य माली दुर्दैव कारण. After the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, some of the branches, for unfortunate reasons, deviated from his path. Srijaila jiyaila tare namanila kritagna haila tare skandha kruddha haila. Some branches did not accept the original trunk that vitalized and maintained the entire tree. When they thus became ungrateful, the original trunk was angry at them. So, if you break a branch of a tree, it is no more connected to the original trunk, and even though in the beginning it may look like it may have all green leaves and the branches are young, just as good as the ones that are connected to the trunk, but over time we can see the result. One will become dry and it's actually dead, but only looks alive for now. So this is very important because sometimes we may mistake, hey, you know, ISKCON is also doing good, still going on. But it's only time, because nobody has ever become successful by offending a spiritual master. There's never been such a you know history where one became successful by offending a pure devotee and the movement becomes successful. It's never the case. So and therefore, even though externally it may ISKCON may look kind of presentable, but internally there are so many things going wrong with ISKCON, unfortunately, because of disobedience to the spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. And these verses are very good instructions. क्रुद्धः स्कन्धतारे जलना संचारे जलाभावे कृशशाखा शुकाय amare. Thus Lord Chaitanya did not sprinkle upon them the water of his mercy, and they gradually withered and died. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very merciful, Namo Mahamadanyaya, but he did not sprinkle upon them the water of his mercy. That means it's not that we can do anything and everything and still be Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotee. Oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is no offense against Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because that is what we are told, right? In the Adilila 8th chapter. So, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has freely given this love of Krishna everywhere and anywhere, even to the most fallen Jaga and Madhai. What then to speak of those who are already pious and elevated? Is fully independent. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is fully independent, therefore, although it is the most confidential stored benediction, he can distribute love of Godhead to anyone and everyone without consideration. Patra Patra. Whether he is offensive or inoffensive, anyone who even now chants Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda is immediately overwhelmed with ecstasy and tears fill his eyes. Now, this looks like, hey, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can do basically anything, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, very merciful, really. Sorry, that's not how it works. So, we have to still follow, take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu means we have to follow his instruction. Hmm. Patra patra, vichar nahi sthana sthan. Um, what is that? Kore premadan. Patra patra vichar nahi sthana sthan. Jai jaha paye taha kore premadan. In distributing love of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates did not consider who was a fit candidate and who was not, nor were such distributions nor where such distribution should or should not take place. They made no conditions. Wherever they got the opportunity, the members of the Panchatattva distributed love of Godhead. Then how come Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not sprinkle? Again, um, that is the lesson that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us. One second. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is merciful, yes, but provided we have to take his shelter. If we don't take his shelter, taking his shelter means what? Follow the instructions. Follow the instructions of the Sampradaya. If I have some other opinion, then I'm not taking shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then I can't be delivered. Anybody can come to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he will be delivered. But if I don't come, then I can't be delivered. Or if I go away, then I can't be delivered. Chaitanya Rahita Deha Shushka Kashtha Sama Jivite Mritashe Maile Danda Jama. A person who without Krishna consciousness is no better than a dry wood or a dead body. He is understood to be dead while living, and after death he is punishable by Yamaraj. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.29, Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, tells his assistants what class of men they should bring before him. There he states, a person whose tongue never describes the qualities and holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose heart never throbs as he remembers Krishna and his lotus feet, and whose head never bows in obeisances to the Supreme Lord, must be brought before me for punishment. In other words, non-devotees are brought before Yamaraj for punishment, and thus material nature awards them various types of bodies. After death, which is dehantara, a change of body, non-devotees are brought before Yamaraj for justice. By the judgment of Yamaraj, material nature gives them bodies suitable for the reactions of their past activities. This is the process of dehantara, or transmigration of the self from one body to another. Krishna conscious devotees, however, are not subjected to be judged by Yamaraj. For devotees, there is an open road as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. After giving up the body, Tattvavit deham, a devotee never again has to accept another material body, for in a spiritual body he goes back home, back to Godhead. The punishments of Yamaraj are meant for persons who are not Krishna conscious. Now, who is not Krishna conscious? Those who disobey the spiritual master are not Krishna conscious. So we have to stay without disobeying the spiritual master, we have to obey him. केवल गण प्रति नहे दंड chaitanya विमुख जय शैत पाषंड. Not only the misguided descendants of Advaita Ācārya, but anyone who is against the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should be considered an atheist subject to be punished by Yamaraj. So this word cult, people don't like, oh, it's a cult. I mean, if you define cult, let's see, look up. A system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object. A relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or as imposing excessive control over members. Now, this is used in usually a negative connotation, is used with a negative connotation, but you see, we are actually, it says religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let's say Chaitanya cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Prabhupada used the word cult even in an interview, early days, 1967 interview. He used the word cult of. Reporter asked him, "Why did you come here to America?" He said, "I've come here to spread the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." So it is. I mean, God is one. So if you have excessive devotion to that one God, that can be called a cult. Well, in fact, that is our natural position. All culture means what? Starting with cult. Hmm? So that is our original position. But we have given up that and given a false podium for independence or lack of surrender. I want to be independent. I don't surrender to anybody. So I'm not in any cult. Of course, if a person is a cheater and then people succumb to him, I mean, they just become his chelas. And that's a cult in a, yeah, that's a problem. But God, original cult, is not bad. It's the real cult. We all belong to one cult or the other. We always belong to some school of thought, and we have a set of beliefs. Now, this is not just like blind belief, of course, ours. It is based on Shastra and the pure devotee Acharyas. So people ascribe to us that saying that hey, you all are like Abrahamic religions. You're saying only one God, very rigid. You're not flexible like what Hinduism is. There's no flexibility in Hinduism. Krishna says, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. You surrender to me alone. And whoever is following whatever part of the Varnashram system, they're not surrendering yet. They are. It's not that they're they're supposed to continue whatever they're doing. No, 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 no. They're supposed to continue whatever they're doing in a way, yes, but they have to elevate themselves. Elevate themselves. The whole point is to elevate, not stagnate. Dimitri Prabhu is asking, where can I read about Nityananda descendants? I mean, his parampara. Sorry if you already studied it, maybe I missed it because there are people that claim to belong to this parampara. So, we have actually finished the last chapter. 11th chapter is about Nityananda Prabhu's descendants. This is 12th chapter, which is Advaita Ācārya. Okay, so की पंडित की तपस्वी की बागृही ज्योति चैतन्य विमुख जय तारए गति. Be he a learned scholar, a great ascetic, a successful householder, or a famous sannyasi, one who is against the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is destined to suffer the punishment meted out by Yamaraj. Not not a joke. जे जे लैल श्री अच्युतानंदेर मत श्रेयाचार्यर गण महा श्रेयाचार्यर गण महाभागवत. The descendants of Advaita Ācārya who accepted the path of Sri Achyutananda were all great devotees. Purport. In this connection, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya gives this short note. Sri Advaita, quote, Sri Advaita Ācārya is one of the important trunks of the Bhakti Kalpataru or desire tree of devotional service. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a gardener, poured water on the root of the bhakti tree and thus nourished all its trunks and branches. But nevertheless, under the spell of Maya, the most unfortunate condition of a living entity, some of the branches, not accepting the gardener who poured water on them, considered the trunk the only cause of the great Bhakti Kalpataru. In other words, the branches or descendants of Advaita Ācārya, who considered Advaita Ācārya the original cause of the devotional creeper and who thus neglected or disobeyed the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, deprived themselves of the effect of being watered and thus dried up and died. It is further to be understood that not only the misguided descendants of Advaita Acharya, but anyone who has no connection with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even if he is independently a great sannyasi, learned scholar, or ascetic, is like a dead branch of a tree. Unquote. This analysis by Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, supporting the statements of Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, depicts the position of the present so-called Hindu religion, which, being predominantly conducted by the Mayavad philosophy, has become a hodgepodge institution of various concocted ideas. Perfect definition of Hindu religion. The position of Hindu religion, which, being predominantly conducted by the Mayavad philosophy, has become a hodgepodge institution of various concocted ideas. Mayavadis greatly fear the Krishna consciousness movement and accuse it of spoiling the Hindu religion because it accepts people from all parts of the world and all religious sects and scientifically engages them in the Daiva Varnashram Dharma. As we have explained several times, however, we find no such word as Hindu in the Vedic literature. The word most probably came from Afghanistan, a predominantly Muslim country, and originally referred to a pass in Afghanistan known as Hindu Kush, which is still a part of a trade route between India and various Muslim countries. Let me just search that up. Hindu Kush. Hindu Kush. The Hindu Kush is an 800-kilometer long mountain range in Central and South Asia to the west of the Himalayas. It stretches from central and western Afghanistan into northwestern Pakistan and far southeastern Tajikistan. The range forms the western section of the Hindu Kush Himalayan region. To the north, near its northeastern end, the Hindu Kush buttresses the Pamir Mountains near the point where the borders of China, Pakistan, and Afghanistan meet, after which it runs southwest through Pakistan and into Afghanistan near their border. The eastern end of the Hindu Kush in the north merges with the Karakoram range. Towards its southern end, it connects with the White Mountains near the Kabul River. It divides the valley of the Amu Darya, the ancient Oxus, to the north from the Indus River Valley to the south. The range has numerous high snow-capped peaks, with the highest point being Tiruchmir at 7,708 meters in the Chitral district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Pakistan. Okay. So the actual Vedic system of religion is called Varnashram Dharma, as confirmed in the Vishnu Purana. Varnashram Ācāravata Purushena Parah Puman Vishnur Aradhyate Pantha Nanya Tattosha Karanam, Vishnu Purana 389. The Vedic literature recommends that a human being follow the principles of Varnashram Dharma. Accepting the process of Varnashram Dharma will make a person's life successful because this will connect him with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the goal of human life. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement is meant for all of humanity. Although human society has different sections or subdivisions, all human beings belong to one species, and therefore we accept that they all have the ability to understand their constitutional position in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirms Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishner Nitya Das, CC Madhya 220.108. Every living entity is an eternal part and eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every living entity who attains the human form of life can understand the importance of his position and thus become eligible to become a devotee of Lord Krishna. We take it for granted, therefore, that all humanity should be educated in Krishna consciousness. Indeed, in all parts of the world, in every country, where we preach the Sankirtan movement, we find that people very easily accept the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without hesitation, except maybe for in India. They'll say, I will chant Om Namah Shivaya. The visible effect of this chanting is that the members of the Hare Krishna movement, regardless of their backgrounds, all give up the four principles of sinful life and come to an elevated standard of devotion. Now, this cannot be said of any other um, religious system, almost. Hmm? You cannot say, like Buddhism comes close, but where to find really, properly following Buddhist? There are a few, we don't deny, but it is you can follow all these strictures, but if there is no goal that you are going towards, if the whole goal is to become Sunyavad, the whole goal is zero, then what is the point? What is the point? If I am taking a, if I am sacrificing my sense gratification, it is only worth doing so for a higher cause. If there is nothing higher, then why am I um, undergoing all this tapasya? What for? I might as well engage with my senses and sense gratification and enjoy them rather than stay away from them, right? So there has to be the very fact that there are rules and regulations means there is a higher state of existence, higher state of enjoyment, for which these are sacrifices only to attain that. So in any other form of religion, you won't find this highest exposition of one's relationship with Krishna, with God. That is unique to our Vedic literature and especially to our Gaudiya Sampradaya. Although posing as, so reading on, although posing as great scholars, ascetics, householders, and swamis, the so called followers of the Hindu religion are all useless, dried up branches of the Vedic religion. Wow. You see, how strong statement is this? So called followers of the Hindu religion are all useless, dried up branches of the Vedic religion. They are impotent. They cannot do anything to spread the Vedic culture for the benefit of human society. It's true. The essence of the Vedic culture is the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This we have to proclaim. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not just one of the Hindu saints who came in some corner of Bengal. No. He is the supreme personality of Godhead, and the entire purpose of the Vedas is suitably taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I mean, suitable for this age. The essence of the Vedic culture is the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya instructed, Yare dekha, tare kaha, Krishna upadesh, amara agnya guru hoya taro edesh. One should simply instruct everyone he meets regarding the principles of Krishna Katha, as expressed in Bhagavad Gita as it is and Srimad Bhagavatam. One who has no interest in Krishna Katha or the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like dry, useless wood with no living force. The ISKCON branch, being directly watered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is becoming undoubtedly successful, whereas the disconnected branches of the so called Hindu religion that are envious of ISKCON are drying up and dying. Unfortunately, even ISKCON now, if nothing is done to connect it back to the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, it's already on the decline and it will be dried up and lost into oblivion. Very, very pertinent purport. Shei Ācārya Kripar Bhajan Anayase Paila Shei Chaitanya Charan. By the mercy of Advaita Ācārya, the devotees who strictly followed the path of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu attained the shelter of Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet without difficulty. So this is the way how to go to take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through the Ācārya, through the spiritual master. अच्युतेर जय मत शे मत सार आर्यजत मत सब हईल छाराकार. It should be concluded therefore that the path of Achyutananda is the essence of spiritual life. Those who did not follow this path simply scattered. Shri Ācārya Gane Moro Koti Namaskar Achyutananda Praya Chaitanya Jivana Jahar. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances millions of times to Achyutananda's actual followers whose life and soul was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Eight Kahila Acharya Gosai Ragan Tenaskandha Shakhar Kaila Sankshepa Ganan. Thus I have briefly described the three branches, Achyutananda, Krishna Mishra and Gopal, of Sri Advaita Acharya's descendants. शाखा उपशाखा तार नाहि क गणन किछु मात्र कहि करे दिगदर्शन. There are multifarious branches and sub branches of Advaita Acharya. It is very difficult to enumerate them fully. I have simply given a glimpse of the whole trunk and its branches and sub branches. Shri Gadadhara Pandit Shakhate Mahottam Tara Upashakha Kichu Kori Ganan. After describing the branches and sub-branches of Advaita Acharya, I shall now attempt to describe some of the descendants of Sri Gadadhar Pandit, the most important among the sub-branches. Shakha Shrestha Dhruvananda Sridhar Brahmachari Bhagavatacharya Hare Dāsa Brahmachari. The chief branches of Sri Gadadhar Pandit were Sri Dhruvananda, Sridhar Brahmachari, Haridas Brahmachari and Raghunath Bhagavatacharya. Purport. Text 152 of Gaura Ganodesh Deepika describes Sri Dhruvananda Brahmachari as an incarnation of Lalita, and texts 194 and 199 describe Sridhar Brahmachari as the gopi known as Chandralatika. Ananta Ācārya Kavidatta Mishra Nayan Ganga Mantri Mamu Thakur Kantha Bharan. The fifth branch was Ananta Ācārya, the sixth Kavidatta, the seventh Nayana Mishra, the eighth Ganga Mantri, the ninth Mamu Thakur, and the 10th Kanthabharana. Purport. Texts 197 and 207 of the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika describe Kavidatta as the gopi named Kalakanthi. Texts 196 and 207 describe Nayana Mishra as the gopi named Nityamanjari, and texts 196 and 205 describe Ganga Mantri as the gopi named Chandrika. Mamu Thakur, whose real name was Jagannath Chakravarti, was the nephew of Sri Nilambar Chakravarti, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's grandfather. In Bengal, a maternal uncle is called Mama, and in East Bengal and Orissa, Mamu. Thus, Jagannath Chakravarti was known as Mama or Mamu Thakur. Mamu Thakur's residence was in the district of Faridpur. This Faridpur is again Muslim name. So Muslim invasion happened at the time already. So you can understand this. Of course, we know. In the district of Faridpur, in the village known as Magdoba. After the demise of Sri Gadadhar Pandit, Mamu Thakur became the priest in charge of the temple known as the Tota Gopinath in Jagannath Puri. According to the opinion of some Vaishnavas, Mamu Thakur was formerly known as Sri Rupa Manjari. The followers of Mamu Thakur were Raghunath Goswami, Ramachandra, Radha Vallabha, Krishna Jivana, Shyamsundara, Santamani, Harinath, Naveen Chandra, Matilal, Dayamayi, and Kunja Vihari. Kanthabharana, whose original name was Sri Ananta Chattaraj, was the gopi named Gopali in Krishna Leela. भूगर्भ गोसाई आर भागवत दास जय दुयासी कोइलो वृंदावन वास. The 11th branch of Gadadhar Goswami was Bhugarbha Gosai, and the 12th was Bhagavad Das. Both of them went to Vrindavan and resided there for life. Purport. Bhugarbha Gosai was formerly known as Prema Manjari, was a great friend of Lokanath Goswami, who constructed the temple of Gokulananda, one of the 7 important temples of Vrindavan. Namely those of Govinda, Gopinath, Madan Mohan, Radharaman, Shyamsundar, Radha Damodar, and Gokulananda, which are authorized institutions of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. वाणीनाथ ब्रह्मचारी बड़ महाशय वल्लभ चैतन्य दास कृष्ण प्रेममय. The 13th branch was Vaninath Brahmachari, and the 14th was Vallabha Chaitanya Das. Both of these great personalities were always filled with love of Krishna. Purport. Sri Vaninath Brahmachari is described in the 10th chapter, verse 114 of the Adilila. A disciple of Vallabha Chaitanya named Nalini Mohan Goswami established a temple of Madan Gopal in Navadvip. Srinath Chakravartiyar Uddhava Das. Srinath Chakravartiyar Uddhava Das. Jitamitra Kashthakata Jagannatha Das. Kashthakata. The 15th branch was Srinath Chakravarti, the 16th Uddhava, the 17th Jitamitra, and the 18th Jagannath Das. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, quote, the Shakha Nirnaya verse 13 mentions Srinath Chakravarti as a reservoir of all good qualities and an expert in the service of Lord Krishna. Similarly, verse 35 mentions Uddhava Das as being greatly qualified in distributing love of God to everyone. The Gaur Ganodesh Deepika 202 mentions Jitamitra as the gopi named Shyama Manjari. Jitamitra wrote a book entitled Krishna Mayurya. Jagannath Das was a resident of Vikramapur near Dhaka. His birthplace was the village known as Kashthakata or Kathadia. His descendants now reside in villages known as Adiyala, Kamarpada, and Paikapada. He established a temple of Yashomadhava. The worshippers in this temple are the Goswamis of Adiyala. As one of the 64 Sakhis, he was formerly an assistant of Chitra Devi Gopi named Tilakini. The following is a list of his descendants: Rama Narsimha, Ram Gopal, Ramachandra, Sanatan, Muktarama, Gopinath, Goloka, Harimohana, Shiromani, Rakhalraj, Madhava, and Lakshmikanta. So from here we can understand something, that there are 64 Sakhis also. So of course we know the Ashta Sakhis, the 8, I don't remember all the names, to be very frank. But we have the 8 principal gopis, Priyanarma Sakhis, and then we know that there are 108 gopis, but then within that there is a more confidential circle of 64 gopis. Here we can understand that from this statement here, as one of the 64 Sakhis. The Shakha Nirnaya mentions that Jagannath Das preached the Hare Kṛṣṇa movement in the district or state of Tripura. Shri Hari Ācārya Sadi Puriya Gopal Krishna Dasa Brahmachari Pushpa Gopal. The 19th branch was Sri Hari Ācārya, the 20th Sadipuriya Gopal, the 21st Krishnadas Brahmachari, and the 22nd Pushpa Gopal. Purport: The Gaura Ganodesh Deepika 196 and 207 mentions that Hare Ācārya was formerly the gopi named Kalakshi. Sadhipuriya Gopal is celebrated as a preacher of the Hare Kṛṣṇa movement in Vikrampur in East Bengal, now Bangladesh. Krishnadas Brahmachari was formerly among the group of Sakhis known as the Ashta Sakhis. His name was Indulekha. Krishnadas Brahmachari lived in Vrindavan. There is a tomb in the Radha Damodar temple known as Krishnadas tomb. Some say that this is the tomb of Krishnadas Brahmachari and others say that it is of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. In either case, we offer our respects because both of them were expert in distributing love of Godhead to the fallen souls of the sage. So we don't know, we're not sure about whether it is Krishnadas Brahmachari or Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Prabhupada says we will offer our respects, both of them. Shakha Nirnay mentions that Pushpa Gopal was formerly known as Varnagramaka. So these are all names, not much of philosophy going on here, but it's still purifying. The names of Vaishnavas are actually purifying, which is why we have to patiently read about them. Shri Harsha Raghumishra Pandit Lakshminath Bangavati Chaitanya Das Shri Raghunath. The 23rd branch was Sri Harsha, 24th Raghumishra, the 25th Lakshminath Pandit, the 26th Bangavati Chaitanya Das, and the 27th Raghunath. There are so many Raghunath. Purport. Raghu Mishra is described in the Gaura Ganodesh Deepika 195 and 201 as Karpur Manjari. Similarly, Lakshminath Pandit is mentioned as Rasonmada and Bangavati Chaitanya Das is mentioned as Kali. Oh, is it? The Shakha Nirnaya mentions that Bangavati Chaitanya Das was always seen with eyes full of tears. He also had a branch of descendants. Their names were Mathura Prasad, Rukmini Kanta, Jivan Krishna, Yugal Kishore, Ratna Krishna, Radha Madhav, Usha Mani, Vaikuntanath, and Lal Mohan or Lal Mohan Saha. Shankhanidhi. Okay, Lal Mohan Saha Shankhanidhi. Okay, one name. Lal Mohan Saha Shankhanidhi. Lal Mohan was a great merchant in the city of Dhaka. The Gaura Ganodesh Deepika 194 and 200 mentions that Raghunath was formerly Varangada. Another gopi looks like. Amogha Pandit Hasti Gopal Chaitanya Vallabha Jadu Ganguliyara Mangala Vaishnava. So this Jadu Ganguly, as Ganguly everybody knows, India cricketer, he was the Indian cricket captain in the early 2000s, 1990s. That's very much Bengali surname. So Jadu Ganguly. The 28th branch was Amogha Pandit, the 29th Hasti Gopal, the 30th Chaitanya Vallabh, the 31st Yadu Ganguly, and the 32nd Mangal Vaishnav. Purport. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, Sri Mangal Vaishnav was a resident of the village Titakana in the district of Murshidabad. His forefathers were Shaktas who worshipped the goddess Kiriteshwari. It is said that Mangal Vaishnav, formerly a staunch brahmachari, left home and later married the daughter of his disciple. Prananath Adhikari in the village of Mayanadal. The descendants of this family are known as the Thakuras of Kadada, which is a village in the district of Burdwan near Katwa. Scattered descendants of Mangal Vaishnav, 36 families altogether, still live there. Among the celebrated disciples of Mangal Thakur are Prananath Adhikari, Purushottam Chakravarti of the village of Kandada, and Narasimha Prasad Mitra, whose family members are well known Mridanga players. Sudhakrishna Mitra and Nikunj Vihari Mitra are both especially famous Mridanga players. In the family of Purushottam Chakravarti, there are famous persons like Kunj Vihari Chakravarti and Radha Vallabha Chakravarti, but who now live in the district of Birbhum. They professionally recite songs from Chaitanya Mangal. It is said that when Mangal Thakur was constructing a road from Bengal to Jagannath Puri, he found a deity of Radha Vallabha while digging a lake. At that time, he was living in the locality of Kandara in the village named Ranipur. The Shalagram Shila, personally worshipped by Mangal Thakur, still exists in the village of Kandara. A temple has been constructed there for the worship of Vrindavan Chandra. Mangal Thakur had three sons, Radhika Prasad, Gopi Ramana, and Shyam Kishore. The descendants of these three sons are still living. चक्रवर्ती शिवानंद सदा व्रजवासी महाशाखा मध्ये ते हो सुदृढ़ विश्वासी. Chakravarti, the 33rd branch, in Vrindavan with firm conviction, is considered an important branch of Gadadhar Pandit. Purport. The Gaur Ganodesha Deepika mentions that Shivananda Chakravarti was formerly Lavanga Manjari. The Shakha Nirnaya written by Yadunandan Das also names other branches of Gadadhar Pandit as follows: Madhavacharya, Gopal Das, Hridayananda, Vallabha Bhatta. The Vallabha Sampradaya or Pushtimarga Sampradaya is very famous. Oh, okay. So, Shakha Nirnaya. Madhu Pandit, this famous devotee, lived near Khadadaha in the village known as Shaibona Gram, about 2 miles east of Khadadaha station, and constructed the temple of Gopinath Ji in Vrindavan. Achyutananda, Chandrasekhar, Vakreshwar Pandit, Damodar, Bhagwan Ācārya, Ananta Ācārya Varya, Krishnadas, Paramananda Bhattacharya, Bhavananda Goswami, Chaitanya Das, Lokanath Bhatta. This devotee, who lived in the district of Talakhadi in the district of Yashohara or Jeshore, okay, and constructed the temple of Radha Vinod, was a spiritual master of Narottam Das Thakur and a great friend of Bhugarbha Goswami. Lokanath Bhatta. Govindacharya, Akrur Thakur, Sanket Acharya, Pratapaditya, Kamalakanta Acharya, Yadav Acharya, and Narayana Padihari, a resident of Jagannathpur. Jai Shri Ram, he's saying, can I respond to your rebuttal? No, we are not. We are discussing something else. Don't come and waste our time here. एट संक्षेपे कहिला पंडितेर गण ऐच्छे आर शाखा उपशाखा गणन. Thus, I have briefly described the branches and sub-branches of Gadadhar Pandit. There are still many more that I have not mentioned here. Panditer Gana Sabha Bhagavat Dhanya Pranavallabha Sabhara Shri Krishna Chaitanya. All the followers of Gadadhar Pandit are considered great devotees because they have Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as their life and soul. Ei ten skandher kailo shakhara ganan jasava smarane bhava bandha vimochan. Simply by remembering the names of all these branches and sub-branches of the three trunks I have described, Nityananda, Advaita and Gadadhar, one attains freedom from the entanglement of material existence. Oh, that is something powerful, isn't it? Eitin skandher koinu shakhara ganan jasaba smarane bhava bandha vimochan. This is the purifying potency of devotees. Even their names are so purifying. Just by remembering those names or reading about them attains freedom from the entanglement of material existence. So this is very important. जहाँ सभा स्मरणे पाए चैतन्य चरण, जहाँ सभा स्मरणे होए वांछित पूरण. Simply by remembering the names of all these Vaishnavas, one can attain the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, simply by remembering their holy names, one achieves the fulfillment of all desires. But who can actually remember them? That is the problem. Manda buddhi. अतएव तास बार वंदिये चरण चैतन्य मालिर कहि लीलानुक्रम. Therefore, offering my obeisances at the lotus feet of them all, I shall describe the pastimes of the gardener Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in chronological order. गौरलीयामृत सिंधु अपार अगाध के करिते पारे तहाँ अवगाह साध. The ocean of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is immeasurable and unfathomable. Who can have the courage to measure that great ocean? ताहार माधुर्य गंधे लुब्ध होए मन अतएव तटे रही चाकी एक कण. It is not possible to dip into that great ocean, but its sweet, mellow fragrance attracts my mind. I therefore stand on the shore of that ocean to try to taste but a drop of it. Shri Rupa Raghunath Padejar Ash Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila, 12th chapter, describing the expansions of Advaita Ācārya and Gadadhar Pandit. So that is the end of this chapter. And next is the 13th chapter, and here is the advent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually. We have read this, I don't know if we have read the whole thing on the Gaura Purnima day. Maybe not. How many verses will we have? Anyway, we will read it again in more detail from the next class onwards. So here we will stop for today, and we will continue next on Monday maybe. Monday, I think we will do a song or something like that. Alright, thank you all very much. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Advaita Ācārya ki jai. Bonafide Sampradaya ki jai. Nitaya Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.